Hey YouTube, welcome to another episode of the Mini Willys Jeep build. There is a challenge that still has to be overcome with this project, and it's the fact that motorcycle engines actually spin in the opposite direction from car engines. Now we've used essentially a motorcycle engine, it's a Honda quad engine, but we've used car differentials and axles. So the car differentials and axles are expecting a clockwise rotation input, and this engine delivers an anti-clockwise rotational output. So if we connected the drive shafts and put the drivetrain in place as this thing stands at the moment, we'll have 5 reverse gears and only 1 forward gear. So we have to resolve that. So the option we have is to flip the differentials in this. Now with this type of setup and live axles and this type of differential, you can actually remove the differential, flip it 180 degrees, reinstall it, and it will reverse the drive direction of that axle, and I think that'll work. I think that's probably going to be our solution. There are a couple of issues with that, and I'm just going to grab the camera and I'll show you what those are. So here we are, we've got the output shaft from the quad. If I push the kickstart, you'll see that there's a counterclockwise rotation if you look from the front. So this thing is rotating this way in this direction, and that rotates and connects onto the input for our transfer box. Now if I rotate that counterclockwise, the output from the transfer box is also counterclockwise, which means that the input to our differentials is going to be counterclockwise, and if we turn these counterclockwise we get a reverse drive. So the plan is to pull the axles out, undo all these bolts, pull the differential out, rotate it 180 degrees, and then reinstall it upside down. The only problem we have at the back is this area here. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a flat surface area that's chamfered into the end of the diff pan that seats the oil drain plug. Now that sits on the opposite side from the ring gear. The ring gear rotates round about here on this side where that's rounded. Now if we were to flip that differential, that ring gear is going to shift from rotating here to rotating here, and it will hit this flattened area. So my plan is to cut the oil pan from the back of the differential off and rotate it 180 degrees so that this flat area here sits on this side, so it won't interfere with the movement of the ring. We'll do exactly the same thing at the front. We'll cut around here, we'll rotate the oil pan 180 degrees, we'll get this out of the way, bring it over here, but there's one problem. Now forgive the wobbly camera, I'm off the tripod I've got in my hand, but this is our front differential and you can see that the pinion's offset. If we rotate that differential by 180 degrees, this is going to drop down and it's going to be fouled by the steering linkage rod. So we're going to have to engineer this guy out of the way. So there you have it, plenty for us to get on with, so let's get cracking. So the diff flip's now complete on the rear axle and also on the front axle. We've still got anti-clockwise rotation output from the engine, and that rotates the transfer box anti-clockwise. So the outputs from the transfer box are anti-clockwise, so the inputs to the diffs are anti-clockwise, but now we have forward motion. So we're now officially moving in the right direction. Sorry. So we've flipped the diffs and we've corrected the drive direction. It's time to move on and look at the drivetrain. Now obviously the pinions are offset on these differentials, which means that the flange has now moved. Originally the input flange for the diff sat here, and that's now moved over here. So originally it was in line with the output from the transfer box, and now we're 4 or 5 inches out of line. Similarly with the front, not quite so bad, but this transfer box now needs to move that way around 4 inches, I reckon. Which I think will be a good thing actually, because we had an extra mount point welded across here, and I think we can now get rid of that and weld our mount for the transfer box onto the underside of the outside chassis leg. So let's get cracking. So we've got the transfer case realigned. We've also stuck some rubber mounts in there to try and absorb some of the shock and vibration from the transfer case. We've got the alignment now pretty good for both of the prop shafts, the front and rear, so I think we're in good shape. So let's crack on and shorten the prop shafts. So here's the master plan. We're going to convert it from a steering box to a steering rack. I've managed to get my hands on a Mark III Fiesta steering rack, which is one of the smallest ones I could find. It's metal, so I'm able to cut and re-weld the casing. This is also from a left-hand drive, and the reason I've selected a left-hand drive is that the brackets should bolt that way with the steering wheel on the left, but I want to turn it upside down so that the pinion for the steering rack is on the bottom, and it gives us a bit of extra clearance for getting up underneath the framework and bringing up to the steering wheel. So I've got outer tie rods from a Toyota Avensis which connect onto a swivel hub. Then our inner tie rod, which is also from an Avensis, so we'll cut across here and we'll re-thread this portion. And that'll connect into our outer tie rod, and that should shorten it by about 100mm on either side. So the steering rack I've chosen, it's got a metal casing, so it should be quite easy to cut the casing and shorten it. It's also got a steel solid rod, internal rod, that should also be relatively easy to chop. And my plan is to cut the rod by about 200mm and also cut the casing by 200mm. Drill and re-tap the inner rod and then reassemble, and hopefully we'll have a nice, fairly cute steering rack that will be suitable for our Jeep. The only problem we have on the Jimny axles is that obviously there was only one connector for the steering box, and this side doesn't have one. So we're going to have to engineer something that we can attach the outer tie rods to right here. We'll see if we can fabricate something. Right, Ollie, are you ready to test the electric power steering?
Yes, I am.
Okay, the first test we're going to do is full lock, left to right and back again without power steering.
Okay.
On you go. So full lock to the left. How hard is it?
Quite hard.
Quite hard, okay. Is that you? That's you, full lock, then full lock to the right. Yeah, you struggling a wee bit? Is it quite tough?
Yes.
Keep going. All the way. Can you do it?
Yeah. I think
Go a bit more, I think.
that's full lock.
Is that full lock and then bring it back to centre? Okay. No, centre. So they're going straight.
There.
One more turn. Yeah, and then get the steering wheel straight. And that's you there, I think. Okay, how tough was that?
Quite tough.
Okay. Are you ready to do the mini Willys Jeep steering test, this time with electric power steering?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's go. Full lock to the left. Wow, is that it there? Okay, full lock to the right.
It goes
Is
so
that it already? Okay, now bring it back to the middle. How was that?
good.
Easier?
Yep.
Fab. Well done. Well folks, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Mini Willys Jeep build. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe and we'll see you on the next one.
Drop a like down below and subscribe. Bye guys.
Bye.